what do you see as the important aspect of legislation to be included for immigrant reform?
I think that the time has come, and the time is now for politicians to understand that they are elected there for the people and by the people. And I think what's happening in Arizona right now, that have set off the tone for people to understand that if we had the pleasure of electing an African American president, it shows that this nation is ready for an immigration reform. Immigrant workers here in our states, working. Some of them have been exploited, taken advantage of. You know what? It's about time. The revenue the state loses, the revenue alone they lose in taxes. The revenue alone everyone else loses here in New York City, that they lose because contractors are not paying proper wages or paying taxes on these papers, paying them off the books. So you know what? I believe in my heart, this is the time has come, the time is now for our politicians that we elect in office to understand that this is their job to do, and immigration reform should be the next task on their agenda.
What would you include specifically in that legislation?
Well, you know, there's a lot of issues. I mean, people speak about border, some sort of a border control. I do believe that we need border control. We should know who's in our country. I want to know who my neighbor is. I do. I want to make sure that we're all secure. I mean, you know what? Workers' rights. You know, people should have some sort of rights. There's got to be, you know, immigration, family deportation. They deport families. You should have the capabilities. If your children are here, if they go to school here, they should be able to attend college and finish up. There's a lot in that area where we can't come together. This is why immigrants love unions. They love unions because they have a voice. They have an individual like Bobby Bonanza, head of the Mason Tenants Council, one of the most prominent, one of the strongest and most respected council here in New York City. They have individuals like myself, John Delgado, Edison Severino, Local 78, a brother Rouse, that fight for immigrant rights, that want to make sure that contractors are not exploiting them, paying them, undermining them, underpaying their wages, and taking advantage of them.
Bobby, are you continuing to work with Washington, with legislators, in order to pass that legislation you spoke about?
Absolutely. We've been working closely for the last few years. This is nothing new. We just feel now that it's time to get it done.
Bobby, how close are we to reforming the way workers are treated, immigrants are treated, and how close are we to meaningful legislation?
I really couldn't tell you at this point, because what goes down there sometimes is so bizarre that, you know, we're lost for words. It becomes a political arena. It loses its context of what it's supposed to be about. Again, whether it's health care, the war, or immigration, sometimes they lose their focus on what they're going to do for political reasons.
What has to be included in legislation to stop the exploitation of immigrants with employers and with the way they're treated right now?
Well, I think that once we get the legislation passed that deals with the amnesty aspect and a proper way of dealing with immigrants coming into the country, that's going to take away all of the advantages that employers are using today to threaten to send them back because they know they're illegal or they know they have immigration problems, and just keep them under the thumb, basically. So I think the legislation, part of that, will have to deal with that aspect, and by having legislation and having a law set, that's all automatically going to level the playing field.